Hello and welcome to the developer commentary of my Freddi Fish Luther Maze Madness level pack. It's a level pack that I've made over the course of about 2 years and finally finished and even had someone play about 10 months ago. But I felt like it would be interesting to kind of have a recording of me like playing through the levels, while at the same time also explaining like what was the thought process behind each level, what my experiences were designing levels for this game, and just overall, I guess. And maybe even show like some interesting stuff about this level pack that you might have not noticed. So I'm just going to call this account GizRec so that I know that this is the name that I'll be using for the dev commentary. So let's just get right in and start with level 1.
Jumpin' jellyfish, let's get all those
So these first mazes are pretty simple, so I guess I could just talk about the general design principles and stuff that I use for this. I usually tend to play with keyboard exclusively, and the levels were kind of designed around that, I guess. But yeah, I have a design document for this. I actually took pictures of every level, had conventions that I adhered to, and one of the things I had to decide, for example, was which background to use, which tiles to use. So I opted to start with the blue rock cave set, simply because it was one that I felt like I struggled with making look nice, so I just wanted to have it in first, so I would make it easier for me to design levels around it by spacing them out better. You'll see what I mean by that, but the pack starts out very simple though, very similar to the vanilla pack, with a nice difficulty gradient, but an overall higher difficulty than the vanilla set, because I mean, I would expect people to have played the vanilla set first, and that's what these two anglerfish are here for. They're here to show that, hey, this is going to be a bit trickier than the vanilla set, which didn't even introduce the anglerfish until like level 5, I think it was. So yeah, generally, most stuff will be introduced much earlier than in the vanilla set. For example, the water spouts are introduced in level 2, as opposed to level 3, I think it was. And yeah, there's gonna be overall like trickier challenges, trickier puzzles, but it starts out pretty simple. I mean, here the thing is like, hey, don't forget to go into this output before collecting all of the kelp seeds. That was definitely something that I wanted to do. It was definitely have an emphasis on like prizes and making sure that there's like enough to make it worth exploring the levels. There's not much you can do with prize, unfortunately. Most of the things that you get in this game just simply give you points, and all the points do is eventually give you 2 lives. They cap out at 2 for some reason. And I guess you get to fight that and compare high scores. But yeah, it's... And then there's a couple of power-ups, but like most of them are pretty game-breaking, so I wanted to be a little sparse with them. So yeah, it's not the easiest things to add into the level, I guess. But yeah, for the most part, it's just like points, really. So that's kind of what I put in there. So here we have our first power introduction. I call it the soap because it's basically like what I used to blow bubbles, like here. The thing is set up in such a way that you're forced to use at least one bubble there to get out, and then one here to actually grab the pearl bag. It's your own choice whether or not you want to, like, if you think it is worth it to use the bubbles for grabbing points, but generally the level pack is pretty forgiving with the amount of soap you get. So something I guess I could talk about now is decoration. I made use of the dev editor for the first 41 levels that I designed, so I had to painstakingly do everything. You might also notice there is a fountain on the bottom right that I use as decoration. I'm just looking for stuff to add to the levels.
We better get swimming.
Yeah, to make the level design process simpler, I actually built a skeleton of the level first, and once I was happy with how the level was designed, I would then decorate it and add the correct tiles, because like I would basically just use like one type of tile, and I only really needed the basic skeleton of the level to be there first. If I were to actually like design the level fully every time, I would lose so much time every time I needed to do revisions, so that's why I would only do once I was fully happy with the level, I would actually decide what it would look like. So here's another example of a fountain and it uses decoration. I feel like I've probably spammed the decoration tiles a bit in this level, but I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna complain. But yeah, we've got our first gate here. It's a stargate because I don't know, I just felt like it's a stargate. They're all pretty much the same. I think the only difference is that the sea urchin gates shows you up to 5 sea urchins in the UI, while the other gates are used.
Are everywhere.
The other keys are like grouped together. It only shows one of them, and I think that's also how you will never get more than 1 star at a time, for example. Anyway, this is the gimmick of the level pack, is that I don't adhere to one decoration or one like environment per set. I actually like mixing around the different sets, and that was for a couple of reasons. The first one of them was like it made it easier for me to space out. It made it easier for me to like design levels in specific environments, because I wouldn't have to like always make all the levels for one environment one after another. But the other reason is I also felt like the earlier areas are a bit underrepresented because they're usually single screen levels, and I wanted to keep that element. But to like have a better balance of the environments, I would then bring them back later, and I actually kept them mostly the same, like each environment's usually the same amount. Speaking of environment, that was something I also struggled with to decide for the bonus room. I wanted to keep the bonus room music, but I wanted to give it a different environment. And I also wanted to use a tile set that I did not really like using, which ended up being the orange rock caves. That's why this is used for the bonus room. But overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like, it looks really rustic, the bonus room tiles that are on the border. And you still have like a nice playground to play in the middle. I also used the green background for contrast. I think the actual bonus room uses a different green background. I think this green background is unused. But yeah, and also like every single bonus room gives you a worm duel, because I just think it is a lot more fun to grab these guys while you're actually going faster, because I think that Freddi kind of comes slow as molasses by default. But yeah, something you'll also notice is like I try to avoid forcing people to use bubbles if needed, so there's a little alcove there you can use to juke the blowfish. And you'll notice that most of the levels are actually designed around that. So yeah. Some more fountains here. Because I really do try to use the elements as much as possible. You'll just casually pass this piranha. This anglerfish. I keep accidentally calling them piranha, but they're not. They're anglerfish, but you'll just have to like pretend it doesn't happen, I guess. I also really like the pearls, so I try to incorporate them a lot in the prize design. I think the main game is a little bit stingy with the pearls, but I don't know, I really like how you actually have like a timed window to actually grab those. So yeah, I like to put them in the levels a lot. I also try to experiment a little bit with like unusual cave design, so there's an entire part on the top right that's full of rock. So you can't actually go there. It actually forced me to like design the levels differently. And there's also something that you will notice in the levels is like in different environments I will design the level slightly differently, because I think certain tasks just look better when using a certain configuration. Speaking of the this tile set, there's something cool you can do because it's like this big rock foreground element that is used like I think once, but it's so big that it actually hides what's behind it, and it's perfect for secrets. The vanilla game makes use of the Jolly Roger flag in the pirate tile set to that effect, but okay, I thought it was gonna stay squished a little bit longer there, but yeah, I found that you could use the rocks for the exact same purpose, and I think it's a really cool use of them. Here's another little example of a small little cove you can use to draw the glowfish. So usually I leave like one single kelp seed if there's potential like bonus prizes you can miss. So generally, if there is no kelp seed at the that you could just like hold on to at the end of the room, that usually means that you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I suppose that's not like super well telegraphed, and like if you don't know the set, you wouldn't know that. I keep that in mind. But yeah, just trying to like avoid things that frustrate me about the vanilla set. But I don't think it's used that much, but there's a couple of cases where like the game tricks you into finishing the level early. But they're usually pretty telegraphed anyway. Anyway, in this room there's a lot of blowfish, and I guess the thing you can decide here is how and when you decide to liberate them. So you can also reset the room by going in and out. You don't have to worry about them. I also want to note this octopus at the bottom. It's an unused asset, probably because it was too big and like they never really had a chance to use it. I think the only level where they could have used it was level 1, and they decided to use the big rock instead of the octopus. But yeah, it's here, and I think it looks cool. I will not be going for all the prize, by the way, just so you know. This is just that commentary and me playing through the levels. So here we have a pretty standard maze, but there might be one thing you're noticing, and that's that there's a level transition that is not on the edge of the map, and yes, the game allows for that. In fact, the game is surprisingly, how do you call it? The game is surprisingly flexible with what it allows you to do, which I really like. It seems to be like very, I think they call it systemic design, where like each part works on its own, and really the only thing that you need to worry about is how they interact, and they are designed to interact in very simple ways. So yeah, it works. You go in and it works just like a normal exit. So here's a sacrifice you have to do. You have to use one of your soap bubbles to get invincibility bubble. Once again, it's up to you to think if it's worth it or not, but I think it's probably a worthy trade. I did have one person actually play through these levels and even recorded them himself. I want to give him a shout out, because without him, it's nice to like design levels, but I think it's even more fun to see like other people go through them and see how they experience the level. So yeah, I want to definitely shout out Colorful Artie, because not only did he make a video guide on how to use the dev editor, but he was also like a big motivation as to finishing the level set, because just knowing that there is at least one person willing to go through the level set and even go as far as recording it, I believe he live streamed it. Yeah, that was really nice, and it was interesting to see like what goes into the mind of someone who is not the level creator when going through these levels, because you expect people to react a certain way, and then it turns out like no, not at all. There's like panic, or maybe like not seeing the forest for the trees, or like maybe being too tired that you just brain fart. Like it can happen, and it's hard to like keep everything in mind, and after all, like you can't really design each level to be completely flawless. That would be really difficult, and probably really difficult. So yeah, this is our third set, and this is level 8. So you see, like level 5 kind of felt like a transition, but here, like, we completely break a convention by just going to a new area on a level that's not a multiple of 5. And together with this new area, we also have the introduction of the crab, because I associate them with beaches. Usually, like, whenever an element gets introduced, it gets introduced in a place where I think it makes sense. So the boulder gets introduced in the rock cave because it's kind of a similar color. So once again, here you have to do a little sacrifice. You use a bubble to get even more bubble. That's okay because it's additive. I believe you get 10 each time per refill, so that's pretty nice. And here you get a worm. They're the least level breaking bonus you can give, so I think I tend to give them the most. But yeah, here's another thing, like, you can notice, like, I tried to make like holes here, and they're actually based off of like the little holes in Freddi Fish 2, the haunted schoolhouse. There's an area at the beach where you can like jump from puddle to puddle, and yeah, that design's kind of a little bit based off of that.
Jump in, jellyfish! Let's get all those kelp seeds!
Anyway, yeah, we've got some more beach level now. And I guess one thing I forgot to mention is that every level has a name. The names are not too important, they're just kind of a flavor, but so I'm not really going to name them here. But they're in the design document. You can find all the names, so you can, like, whenever you play through the levels, you can see, like, hey, the level is called that. Right. This is the first example of a puzzle gate, because there's 2 sea urchin gates, but you only get 1 sea urchin key, so you're actually meant to push this boulder in. And it does make traveling through the level a bit more difficult, but that's just a choice you have to make. So I do try to be a bit sparing with the bubbles a bit early. See, you can just juke the crab. I made those outposts. I designed those outposts specifically for that. And then we can juke the anglerfish. That is also something I noticed, is like apparently anglerfish, when they hit a spout, they actually just turn back around, which I think is interesting. This crab is kind of keeping the teleporter here, being a bit annoying. Like, I believe every enemy has the same AI, but I think it's just because the movement of the crab is just like really good at being really annoying. Which is a bit surprising because it is the 3rd enemy that gets introduced. Like, it gets introduced before the shark, it gets introduced even before the squids, which has extra vertical mobility. Which I would say it's less threatening, because you have less vertical room anyway. But yeah, I don't know what the logic was behind when each creature gets introduced, but we've got a little interesting looking overhang, but this one is a lot less of a secret. Because here it's very clear that, hey, there is something here, right? It's kind of a tutorial of like, hey, look, you might have missed something in the previous level if you realized in this stage that, hey, oh, this rock is actually a background. But, yeah, like, secrets is like something I just live for, so like I usually try to incorporate at least like 1 bonus challenge or whatever in each level. Accidentally pressed right instead of up. Oh yeah, that's level 8 complete, and level 9 even, sorry. So I also did not really talk about the bonus rooms so far, but like, yeah, they're just set up like normal. You can technically have a bonus room in each level, but I decided to just continue the normal method of 1 bonus room per every 5 levels. So this room is a bit weird. You might notice that there's a boulder that you have to push upwards, but that's hidden behind a spout. But like, yeah, that's just allowed apparently. So I believe this teleporter is here. And then you can actually do this. And that way you get some extra soap. I'm going to leave one kelp seed here because there is a secret exit here. Or rather, there is a bonus room, and it's on the bottom right here. You can maybe see the crack. But yeah, the bonus room is here. So the dangerous thing to do is to push this ball to the left. You definitely do not want to do that. Just move the cursor out of the way a little bit. You do want a starfish, and you do have to push this upwards. And I believe then the best course of action is to actually just return to the previous cave. It's been a little bit, so I'm essentially playing these levels semi-blind now. But I believe that this is the correct course of action, is to then push this ball there as well. Grab the sea urchin. I'm not going to go for that last pearl because no. And instead just make my way back to the second room. And yeah, you need the sea urchin for the gate at the bottom. I think you just need to open one of them. I don't remember. Alright, yeah. You can go through here and then you can open this, and then you can push this one to the right, and I believe it will squish it. Oh no, it squishes the anglerfish, and then it squishes the crab, so you can then get out. Now, the challenge with this bonus room is that there's a lot of invisible, like, set despawners, which is an item that exists in this game. And the goal is to just find the correct place to go. The scepter spawn is obviously like very clearly denoted where it is. I believe, yeah, you go through it this way, and then the exit was telegraphed in the first room, because maybe not everyone knows that the exit can be in a separate room, but this is explicitly possible and even used in the vanilla game. And yeah, you also have to make sure that you use the pushable in the correct direction, sorry. So each bonus room also has a gimmick. So the gimmick here is water spouts. And water spouts with were a bit uncontrollable, so I actually didn't want to do the Wundu into this room for... This is the only exception, I think, because it's... Actually, no, there's a couple of rooms that don't use a Wundu for one reason or another, but like most rooms will have Wundu simply because I feel like they make the bonus rooms more pleasant to go through. But yeah, the trick obviously with this one is it's called water spouts, so you kind of have to navigate this tricky looking maze because it doesn't actually work the way it looks at first. If you want to get to the left, for example, you have to go down here. That's not always immediately clear because the water spouts. Now, I'll mostly be finishing the first 10 levels, so I'm going to record this in smaller sessions. So this will be the first session where I show the first 10 levels, and I mean, you won't really notice too much of it. I guess you could just go to the next videos and I don't really know exactly how I'll put these on YouTube, but yeah. Just for the sake of sparing my voice, I will not be recording all of them in one go because that's just training on your throat. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the dev commentary for the first 10 levels. And if you have any like questions about specific things that I've not really talked about, feel free to ask. But yeah, for now, this will be it for the first recording session, and I'll see you at level 11.